So hey guys, this is Tim again from Lowe's Southern Farms. So last video we talked about, us getting our goats and stuff like that. The sun's pretty bright today. Feels really nice out here, but anyways, talked about moving some stuff out. Well, there's our junk pile. So, gonna end up taking some of this stuff off. I make an annual run to the dump, pretty much, trying to clear some old stuff out and clean up the place, make it look a lot better. So, as you can tell, we moved all of our equipment, all of our stuff. See, we got our old furnace, which is eventually going to go in the barn. Something my grandfather built years ago, and I want to try to keep that and preserve that. You can see there's our planter boxes. So anyways, we're gonna start working on getting our planter boxes and stuff set up, just for as a food source this summer. So so I talked about goats. I talked about that we were getting goats, and we made that pickup. Unlock the skate here. Okay, so right now we have 2 male pygmy goats. They've been with us for about a week. So far so good. We actually put a heating lamp and stuff on them this past week because it's been kind of cold, and they're still young. They're not up there in years yet. They're only like 3 months old. So I'm gonna try to, like I said before, goats don't like wind. Goats don't like cold. You can get some breeds that are more apt to wind and stuff, but like Kikos and stuff like that are good. Weather resistant goats and stuff, but I mean, any type of animal, they're not going to like the wind. I mean, even our chickens and stuff, when it's windy outside or it's cold, as you've seen in previous videos, they go on roost and you wouldn't see them for a while. So, but anyways, we got 2 males. I'll see if I can get them out here. Probably do not want to. Well, actually, here is one. There he is. See if I can get you guys in here. Looks like they're not going to cooperate this morning. So, I'll have to unlock the gate so you guys can see them. So, we'll have some more footage of them throughout the day today and stuff. But, that we'll show you guys. But anyways, we'll show you guys our little goat setup, a little goat pen. So my plan is, for right now, this is an old goat pen that we had set up for our previous goats and stuff. But we didn't have our fencing up for them, so they didn't have a whole lot of room. So I tried like different things with them, with the last ones that we had. Made some mistakes and stuff. We actually put them out on the pasture in behind the house that I showed you that we were going to fence off, and that didn't work out that well. It got down to like 10 degrees and they ended up pretty much dying on us. So with these, I want to try to give them, this whole side, pretty much our side yard is what it is. And so far it seems to be working for them. So we'll see what winter holds, of course. Winter, totally different story there. So we're hoping by wintertime we have enough pounds and stuff packed on them that they'll be okay. But I have been thinking about sectioning off a spot inside my barn here just for our goats. Just for our little pygmy goats, just to make sure that the wind's off of them, that they're very good and warm, they have good bedding and all that stuff. Now currently where they are, they're out of the wind, and we keep them warm with the heat lamp. So, but anyways, I'll go ahead and show you guys that. I'll take you and show you how we've got our little setup here so far. So far it's working. I know it worked for our previous goats, but we've kind of improved on it. Is what we've done. So right here, let me get zoomed in. So what we've done, we took some siding, leftover siding, and put and blocked off all the holes and stuff that were in this. So this right here keeps out all the wind and stuff. I mean, we had a lot of wind and storms and stuff this week, and it got pretty cold last night, and they're pretty good right now. They're doing very well. Same thing here. Got some old siding. As you can see, this I've cut this up, and I actually used that on the chicken coop, the large chicken coop down here in the field. Right. Well, I can't find it. Anyways, I used it on one of the large chicken coops down there. But anyways, it worked. Pretty much just gave them a corner that they could get in out of the wind. And what we've done here, as you can see, we just put up plywood. Just 3-foot plywood that I had lying around that I'm not using for anything. We just put that up. And we'll come back and we'll trim this up and all that stuff. But right now it's working. So you kind of got to do what works for you. And sometimes it don't need to look pretty, especially for a goat pen or for animals. Just as long as you make sure that you keep out all like all the metal and stuff like that. Like I said on the last video, I don't want them to get tetanus, and I don't want them to get scratched. Even if they do have the tetanus shot, I still don't want them to get that. So we're really trying our best on these to take as good a care of them as we can. Since they are small goats, we are trying to take precautions, you know. So I'll show you right there. They are one, and the one right there is in the background. Let me see if I can get it zoomed in on him. Zoom in on him just a little bit. See his little face back there. So they're little pygmy goats. They won't stay that small forever. What I was reading is they'll be about 50 to 60 pounds. As you see, we got the setup there for their feed. We got their feed and stuff out of the water area, so it will not get wet. It'll last a lot longer. We got a little trough that we have for the chickens. Actually, we cleaned it out. It's been sitting out for a while, so there shouldn't be any harmful diseases or anything in that. And it's been away from the chickens for months, so been buried under snow and everything else. So I think we'll be okay there. But anyways, you can see kind of how we've got this set up. We got just a board running across through there, and we got a board actually on the bottom. And then we just screwed these to the top just to keep the wind out. So it gives them almost like a little house to go into. And like I said, you can see that's just old 1-inch lumber that we had left over from our putting the siding and stuff on our barn. So this is just pretty much, you know, this whole barn and stuff. This sun's really bright. So this whole barn and stuff, let me zoom out. I'm sure you guys don't want to see it up close to me. There we go. So this whole barn and stuff is actually built out of lumber that was just going to be burnt. I mean, I did have to buy some pieces, don't get me wrong. Like I said before, didn't have to buy much. So this whole barn, you see this little 1/2 inch, it's actually oak lumber. So this is really stout lumber. There's some oak and probably some pine in here. And we used that for a side. Well, the little rafters that's on this little goat pen have been up here for probably almost 3 years now. Almost probably going on 4, maybe even 5. We've been here for probably 5 or 6 years. So I built that like maybe 2 years after we moved in. So, and we used a ton of that lumber, just little inch lumber, as rafters and everything else. And it's withstood. Well, you seen the big heavy snow we had. We had at least 12 inches, close to 12 inches. and it withstood that. And then I built gates out of it. I've done a ton of stuff. So I mean, you would be surprised. I mean, you've got to remember. I mean, what you build for animals, it needs to be safe and sturdy. It don't necessarily have to look 100% beautiful. Not to say we don't want to do a good job, but sometimes you got to work with what you have. I mean, at the time that we built this stuff, we didn't have a lot of money. Just to be honest with you, still don't have a ton of money. We were in a lot better shape than what we were, but we didn't have that much money. I didn't have the money to go spend, $10,000 on a barn or anything like that. I will say this, this past year, really you start reflecting on what's important in life. And it's not the money and it's not the stuff. I always said, stuff is going to melt away. Stuff's going to rot. And I believe God blesses you and things like that, but I believe we got to take into context that we got to serve the Creator and not the stuff. And I think as Americans especially, we lose sight of our family and we lose sight of God Almighty and our spouse and stuff. We focus so much on getting this. If I get this, I'll be happy. If I get that, I'll be happy. Not really. I mean, sometimes you gotta look at your surroundings and be like, I'm thankful for what I do have. I'm thankful for my job. I'm thankful for what the Lord has blessed me with already. And once you start being like that and start doing what He wants you to do, then things start falling in place. And I didn't mean to come up here and preach to you guys, but just coming out this morning. But that's what we've got to look at as Americans in this country. Yeah, we need to work. And yeah, we need to do our best to provide for our family. But on the flip side of that, wanting to be a millionaire and stuff like that, you really think that's going to make you happy? Not really. So you gotta trust God and let God lead you the place He wants you to be, and that's when you'll find more happiness than you've ever found before in your life. But anyways, back to our goats. So these are pygmies. So far, so good. We're still learning, like I said in past videos, on livestock and stuff. We've got our heads wrapped around pretty much on the chickens really well. But on our goats, not a lot of people in our family have experience with goats. We have maybe one person that's got experience with those. But they are good to have around. Eventually we'll probably end up getting meat goats and stuff like that. But I really wanted to start out small. I thought about getting the bigger goats and boiler goats and trying to raise them. But for the birthing process and stuff like that, I wanted to make sure that we had our heads wrapped around what all that was going to entail on the small ones before we started getting into the bigger livestock. If you never dealt with livestock and stuff, I would really suggest getting started with the goats, with chickens and stuff like that. Get yourself a good fence, do the best you can on the fence. To be honest with you, I never tried the cattle panels or goat panels or something like that. But to be honest with you, as far as stretching the fence, it's a little bit of a pain, especially if you're just the only guy doing it. So it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. I'm going to try this summer when we start putting up the second fence, because we're still fencing that in on the back, and I'm starting that probably after we plant our garden. We are going to start that project, and I'm probably going to be using some of this fencing, because I got a lot of fencing left over, so I'm not going to waste it. But I'm probably also going to be using some of the sheet panels, because they come in 16-foot long sections, and they're already tight. So don't have to worry about, all that stuff, trying to get it tight and worrying about that. So anyways, our goats are eating good. We've got them on Timothy hay. They really like that. We've got them on some goat feed. I think it's Purina. It's for all stages of life for goats. Is what it says on the bag, pretty much. They love that stuff. Our last goats we had, we actually fed them corn and stuff. I've read in a couple books that was bad for goats. I don't know that to be a fact. All I know is the last ones we had, we fed some corn to. They done just fine on it. It was the wind and the cold that killed the last goats we had. So very important thing to consider when getting goats and stuff. Get a really good shelter built, or go buy a good shelter. This is not going to be these goats' final shelter. We're going to, like I said, either section out a spot in the barn, which the barn's got to be cleaned out first. That's probably the way I'm going to go, just because I can keep more heat in that barn than I can building another section, all that stuff. This first winter, we'll probably put them in the barn. The second winter, maybe we'll have a section added on to the back to where we can have more goats, bigger livestock, and we'll add that in the section. Next thing I would recommend on goats, get a good sheep and goat fence. Do not get cattle panels. Goats will go right through them. Do not get cattle fencing. Too big of a hole. I've had dogs bigger than these goats, and they would go under the fence and through the fence and stretch the fence out. And make sure that the fence that you buy has either welded wire or is really good where the holes will not split apart. Because if the holes will move, I bought cattle wire, and my neighbor over here who runs cattle has cattle wire on his, but dogs go right under it. Dogs go right through it because they can just wiggle their way around that wire. So if you're trying to keep dogs and coyotes and stuff out from your livestock, even if it is cattle, do not buy that wire. Unless you're running like an electric fence on the bottom, which is what my next point was. We are running electric fence on our bottom of our fence. Just because we do not have a livestock guardian dog yet. Because, for one, I don't feel the need for it yet until I get more into that backfield. Then we'll start looking into that, and until our goats get a little bit bigger. When they get 50 and 60 pounds, then I'll start looking at livestock guardian. Just for the simple fact is, as a dog with a, it's a puppy and stuff, it's going to want to play and stuff like that with the goats. And I want these goats to be able to handle that sort of play, if need be. But we probably will look at a livestock guardian eventually, as we expand and get a little bit bigger, because that's our goal, is expand this into something that's going to be as almost, I would say, almost a retirement type deal for me and my family. So, I mean, that's the end goal. Because, I mean, this past year, 2020, kind of gets you thinking about what's important. And what's important is not really making money. What's important is the Lord Himself and your family, right? So that's what we're trying to gear towards, where we can eventually, at some point in life, retire and be able to spend more time with our family, all of our family. So, anyways, we're going to end up, like I said, back to the fence. We're going to end up putting wiring and stuff on the bottom of our fence, and I'll show you guys that process today. I'll show you what we're using. I'll show you the mistake we made. So anyways, on our electric fence, what we've done is we were going to, I bought these things that you buy at Tractor Supply to screw on T-post. So I thought, well, this will work. I didn't really pay any attention or think about, okay, will this screw on the T-post in the direction I need them to screw into? And that was a big fat no. They will not. So, anyways, I had to compromise and make it work, because I'm not going to go back up to Tractor Supply and return those. And I just pretty much modified them. So, they work. They're going to work now. So, let me just show you that real quick. So, as you can see, right down here, this is what we have. So this has the screw on the back side of whichever direction you're going to point your fence. And this has the slots for the electric fence to run through. We're going to put this probably 4 to 6 inches off the ground. And it'll be run off the same charger we had going around the chickens, because that charger actually covers about 10 acres. Well, I think 10 to 40. It's some god-awful amount that, you know, we have plenty of space in that charger to cover this, what we have here, and all the way around our property. So we over-exceeded it. But, anyways, we had to modify these. So they are meant to go on the inside of the fence, not the outside, which to me is kind of crazy. I mean, I understand the reason behind why you want to put one inside. To keep your animals in, like a bull, cattle, things like that, sheep. But why in the world they don't make them where you can put them outside, I don't know. And then they might, but I've not looked, and I'm not spending no more money on it. So what I ended up doing, and I'll show you guys here in a little bit, but what I ended up doing is there's a section in those little clips to where it's like a molded section, and it just wraps around. You're supposed to screw it on there. Long story short, I ended up cutting that section to get them to fit around the T-post where we could screw them on. Now the ones that won't screw on, I'll wire on, not a problem. They're an insulator. So, won't look the best in the world. Like I said before, I want it to look good, but it don't have to look perfect. If you spend all your time trying to get it perfect, as far as fencing and stuff goes, you'll never get a fence up. The best thing to do is do the best that you can to get it as right as you can and go on. If you spend a lot of time on one section, you're going to pass up a lot of opportunities to buy the livestock you want, especially this time of year. This is springtime. Most people have their goats and stuff in the spring, their lambs in the spring. So if you're getting sheep, a lot of times your chickens are coming out when? In the spring. So if you're going to have fencing and stuff like that, it's best to start it, and I hate to say this, either in fall of the last year that you do it, or in the winter before springtime comes. Because once spring comes, all the good animals are pretty much clean through pretty quickly. We actually looked at getting some does and stuff, and we're actually still looking for does. So if you know anybody that's got any, just let us know in the comments. Still looking for does for these guys, because they're two male pygmies. So anyways, we actually looked at some does. I looked at a mama doe and a doe. Really good looking goats, and for the price, couldn't beat the price. That ad was on there maybe a total of maybe 6 hours, and they were gone. I actually texted the guy when they were still up, and the next day when I looked again, they were gone. So that's how quickly doelings are going. So doelings are very hard to come by in goats, just because not a lot of people want to get rid of those, because that's their baby making machines pretty much. That's how they make their money. So yeah, I know people say, you know, the buck is 50% of the herd, and that's true. But on the flip side of that, finding the doelings is very hard. So we're still looking. So hopefully on the next few videos we'll be able to show you guys some doelings. Still looking. Once we find them, we'll go get them. I've looked and I have found some, but I'm not wanting a goat that's bigger than the ones I have. That's a little crazy. We might get one a little bit bigger, but our goats get up to 50 and 60 pounds. The ones I've been seeing is 120, 150 pounds. I really don't want a doe that large. I want to kind of stay in that range, even though it would be kind of cool to have a little small boyer. That would be pretty neat, or a small Kiko. And we could do that. We might do that. I don't know. But just a thought. Be kind of nice to have some miniature boyers running around. Not a bad idea. So we might do that. I don't know. Never tried that before. Don't know if that'll work. So anyhow, I've got to get off here. We have got to make a run to the store, get supplies. You know, normal stuff that everybody has to do. I'm going to get the cage and stuff put up today. Going to get our tiller and stuff ready. It's an older tiller that's been around for a while. My dad actually had it. It'll beat you to death, but it gets the garden tilled. So you guys will see that in a couple more videos from now. Got to move the chickens today, get them out of here, because chickens and goats, I've heard people say they don't mix. So not going to test the waters on that to try to see if that's true. So I'm trying to get them out of here, find a safe, secure spot for them. Really not figured that out yet. What kind of secure spot for them we can find. I really need another fence charger just to make sure they're okay. So we'll see how all that shakes out. But anyways, and we've got to get our fencing up around our garden so our goats don't eat our garden this year, because they love to browse. So anyways, I'll keep you guys informed on some more goat stuff, and I'll show you guys our electric fence setup once we get it all strung in. But until next time, please like this video and subscribe. We'll see you on the next video.